Now, in this section, we'll be dealing with the incisions that we perform during the autopsy procedures. Now, there are different modifications to these incisions when we are dealing with different situations. And what findings are we looking for in a dead body? That is the mainstay to the incisions. So, moving on, we'll be discussing the internal examination. How do we basically start off with this internal examination? What are the methods that are allotted in different situations? When we encounter different situations, there is always a variation to the methods. And what are the type of incisions that we give in these different types of situations? All of these things will be discussed in detail in this section. Now, how do we define autopsy? This is basically the mainstay. Just to give an introduction, what is autopsy? Autopsy is a surgical procedure that consists of a thorough examination of the corpse. Corpse is, when we are referring to corpse, it is the dead body, by dissection for investigation, research, or educational purposes. So this is a complete definition to the autopsy. It also highlights the objectives. Why do we perform this procedure? It can be for investigation purposes, it can be for the research purposes, and it can be for the educational purposes, for the teaching purposes as well. So the main purpose behind all of these procedures that we perform is to protect the citizens of the country and to identify the prosecution and the guilty as well. So these are the main objectives. Why do we open up a dead body? What is the need for opening up the dead body? These are basically the highlights for this procedure. Now, internal examination, we have already gone through the external examination. How do we basically externally examine a dead body in detail before opening up? Before getting our scalpels in our hand and the knives in our hand, we would completely consider the external outlook of the dead body. So when we are externally examining a dead body, I've already told you the main highlights are the height, the weight, and of course, if there are some injuries, we'll be discussing all of these injuries in the autopsy report, and we'll be writing them out, we'll be documenting them in detail when we are considering the external examination. Moving on, in this section, the internal examination, where we are dealing with the internal examination. First of all, the incising the body. It is very important. There are special techniques of these incisions. Then inspecting various organs. Various organs have to be inspected in their own fashion, in their own style, because they have their own findings. They have their own findings in different poisoning cases, in different injuries cases. So we have to get on to basically the cause of death and the mode of death. And that will be identified only if we carefully inspect these various organs. Now, examining the cavities systemically. First of all, of course, the basic cavities are the thoracic cavity and the abdominal cavity, and they are discussed in detail in the relevant sections. Then weighing the organs. Of course, when we put an organ outside the body, we have to weigh it first of all to start off with. Of course, there are different other credibilities that we have to perform on. But initially, to start off with, we have to first of all weigh that organ. Now, check for any pathologies. These are basically the general rules that we follow while performing the autopsy for any reasons that we are performing the autopsy, and for any pathologies that we are looking for in any organ. So we have to check for the pathologies, the relevant pathologies in that particular organ. May it be the heart, may it be the kidney. Then putting all the organs back in and padding. Of course, the padding and the putting everything back into that particular person while we are performing, it is the authorization that is given to the medical officer while he's performing it. So he has to, one of the reasons is that he's authorized to do all this, and secondly, he has to hand over the dead body in a very cosmetic state to the relatives. Now, suturing the body. Of course, suturing, how do we suture it? It should be cosmetically, it should have a very nice look while we are handing it over to the relatives. It is the ethical point. And secondly, because of the evidences, we're not going to basically hinder with the evidences while suturing the body. Now, this is basically how do we usually open up a dead body while performing an autopsy procedure. Now, the usual incision that we give is a straight line from the laryngeal prominence to the pubis, deviating or avoiding the umbilicus. So this is basically an ancestral method that we perform. The upper end of this incision should not be prolonged above the larynx. Why is that so? Because we want to basically preserve the body in its cosmetic state before handing it over to the relatives. Now cut from behind each ear to a point above the manubrium and continue downwards in a Y shape. So these are basically the two variations. One is a straight I-shaped, it's also called an I-shaped incision, that basically starts from the laryngeal prominences to the pubis. Now the second variation is the Y-shaped. It is basically coming on from the ears to a point above the manubrium and is continuing downwards to the pubis. Now, what are basically the things that modify us for this Y-shaped incision? It basically starts off from behind the ear, as I've already told you. It's mid-clavicular point bilaterally. It is over the clavicles, the suprasternal notch. So these are basically the landmarks, the surface landmarks on the human body that we are looking for. And it is moving on towards the symphysis pubis. So this basically makes a Y-shaped incision. What are basically the advantages to this Y-shaped incision are the visualization of the neck is achieved. The stitch marks in front of the neck remain exposed. So whenever we are dealing with a case of asphyxial deaths, basically we want to dissect the front of the neck in detail, and that basically gives a visualization of the neck which is achieved through this Y-shaped incision. Now, the Y-shaped incision. The first one was the modified Y-shaped incision, and moving on towards the Y-shaped incision, the point close to the acromion process. It starts off from that acromion process, and it moves on towards the xiphoid process over here. So it moves on towards the xiphoid process, and it further moves on towards the symphysis pubis over here. Now, difficult visualization of the neck structures and stitches in front of the neck are absent in these cases. So the benefits of a Y-shaped incision are that it will be cosmetically better, but the things that we are looking for, if you want to visualize the neck structures in detail, that will be difficult to visualize in these Y-shaped incisions. So if we are suspecting any deaths of asphyxia, if we are suspecting a case of strangulation, hanging, we have to give the modified Y-shaped incision. Now, the precautions that we have to take: the primary incision should be shallow over the neck to avoid cutting the underlying structures, of course. The thorax can be cut down to the sternum, so we have to be very careful. Care must be taken over the abdomen where a light cut is made, because we don't want to hinder again with the evidences. So we have to be very careful while cutting the abdomen. We don't have to basically move on to the peritoneum and the peritoneal structures. The small puncture should be made then in the peritoneum and a finger inserted to lift it away from the intestines. So these are basically step by step me moving from the thorax towards the abdomen. Now, incision to assess the skull. First of all, basically we open up the thoracic cavity, then we move on to the abdominal and the peritoneal cavities. And after finishing off with all of these, we are moving on towards the skull. Incision to the skull, how is it given? It is made from behind each ear and meeting over the crown of the head. So we'll start off behind each ear and we'll meet over the crown of the head. Well, to keep this posterior to the actual vertex to make stitching less obvious. So we'll keep this basically cut a bit posteriorly. So as I've already and emphasizing again and again, the body should be in a very cosmetic condition while we hand it over back. So these are the precautions that we take while giving an incision to the skull. Now, with abundant hair and with children, the hair should be wetted and then combed back, and later they can be used to cover the stitching that was performed to incise the skull and examine the brain. So that was the end to this section. In this section, basically, we dealt with the type of incisions that we are going to give in different situations, the I, the Y, and the modified Y-shaped incisions. What are the advantages to these incisions and the disadvantages? And how do we start opening up the cavities? The main cavities are discussed, and how do we assess the brain? Thank you for watching sqadia.com.